Hey everyone, it's Sanni. This is going to be my long-awaited contouring video. Now, I've been asked to do a contouring video for so long and I've been hesitating because I kind of felt like I should have every single face shape in here and like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get all these people in here? And in the end, I decided that actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to contour my face. I'm going to show you the contouring basics on my face. And it's a little bit more of a, not a complex technique, but a more labor-intensive technique. And then I'm going to show you two really quick shortcuts afterwards that I'm going to shoot on different mornings when I'm just getting ready for work. So the first way of contouring is going to be using cream products. I'm using the Makeup Forever stick foundations, and I'm going to be using a color that's way too dark for me and then another color that's way too light for me, and I'll show you how I contour using kind of like light and dark. And really, because what you need in order to contour your face is, everybody's face is different, but you need to think about what you want to recess and what you want to bring forward. Like for example, I don't like my wide forehead, so not only do I cut off part of it with my hair, but I always kind of contour and add shadows to the sides of my forehead. I also tend to add shadows to the side of my nose, and if you were unhappy with like the length of your nose, you would add a shadow under your nose. So it's like little things like that. So really think about the shape of your face, look at it, study it properly in the mirror, and then decide what features you want to bring out. Like for example, for me, even though I have quite a square face, I like my jawline, so I actually add highlighter just here. So I add a lighter color here, and that's almost like, it's a technique that I use a lot on pale people that I don't want to make too bronze. So if I don't want to kind of create too much of a cheekbone here, if you highlight here, it actually brings this out, so essentially recesses whatever is next to it because it looks darker. So you can do kind of like reverse contouring, and highlighting acts like a reverse contour. So yeah, I'm going to talk you through this is sounding probably very confusing. It really isn't. It's actually pretty simple, but you just have to be sure to blend everything really well in contouring, because if you have strong lines, that is a dead giveaway that, you know, you've done some contouring. So I'm not using I'm just using Sigma brushes. I'm not using any specific like hard to get brushes, and you can use any cream type of product at all for this technique. I prefer to use cream rather than liquid because actually it's better to work with, because I'll show you how to blend it with a liquid foundation on top. So it's better to start off with a slightly heavier product and then shear it out. So yeah, let's just get started. So I'm going to be using a couple of Sigma brushes. These are the Precision Tapered and Precision Round P82 and P86 brushes. I could use either for either color, it doesn't really matter. All I want is like small synthetic brushes, and I am going to start off with the highlight color, and I'm going to take the sharper one for the highlight. Now, I am going to use a very, I don't even know what number this is, a very, very lighter than my skin. And what I like to start, this is where I like to start. I get some product on the skin and I like to start on the forehead. So I just draw in a couple of bits where I want the light to hit. Essentially contouring is just about light and dark, and I want the light to hit like in the middle, on the center bridge of my nose, like that. I want it here at the in the center of my forehead. I'm going to draw little triangles under my eyes. This is going to look very bizarre in a second. So kind of, I'm not using a huge amount of product actually. You don't want to go crazy. I also put it all the way into the inner corner. And so you kind of pull them down. Then I'm going to put a little bit around my mouth. A little bit at the tip of my chin. If your chin is like, you know, really, if you have a very prominent chin, you wouldn't do the tip of your chin with it. And then my jawline, because I really want to create amazing cheekbones, and highlighting your jawline is one of the quickest and easiest ways to create those cheekbones. And I'm also going to continue that triangle under the eye. So I'm starting to look pretty great here. Now I'm going to take the blunter one, and I'm going to take a color that's way too dark for me. And I like to start because I really kind of like to get the cheekbones in this. So I'm going to go where my cheekbone is. I can feel it. Even if you can't, so some people you can really see the shadow, with some people you can't, but everybody's got a cheekbone somewhere under there. So I'm just going to go just under it. I'm going to take it all the way to the hairline. Then I like to do the sides of my forehead because my forehead is quite wide. And the side of my, so both sides of my nose. If you have a very long nose, you'd also do the tip of your nose, but because my nose is quite short, I'm just going to leave it there. And then I do just under my lip, because this is actually a trick that Marilyn Monroe used to do. And that kind of like, because you highlight, you contour, make it darker here, it will bring your lips out more. I think I need a little bit more under my cheekbones. So yeah, now I look pretty great as it is. So I'm going to take some of my foundation. So remember to keep it sheer. I'm putting it on the back of my hand. And I'm just going to use, this is a Real Techniques buffing brush. So I get some of the foundation in. And then I'm just going to start blending all of this out. And just very lightly blend it. So the idea is that the foundation needs to be light. It cannot be full coverage. This is just to kind of like blend all of the contouring together, and also obviously, you know, put back your normal skin tone. And if I feel like I've blended too much, I'll just go back in and add a little bit more. I do this when I'm working on shoots. I do this a lot because it's a great way to kind of keep working on the bone structure. And I want to make a really kind of deep part just near the hairline. Kind of very indented. I'm just going to add some under eye concealer. The under eye concealer will just kind of seamlessly blend into the highlight color. I'm just going to use a little bit of translucent powder to lightly set it all. And that's all there is to it. It is an almost foolproof technique because you can actually, you know, really keep blending it. So if you feel like you've made a mistake, if you feel like, you know, you've added too much of the dark color, you can really blend it out with your own foundation. So in that sense, even though it's a little bit more laborious, I actually find it more foolproof so that your end result will be, you know, more natural. But I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I like to do it really, really quickly in the morning when I'm in a rush and when I don't have time to do everything. So this next technique is actually my current favorite, and it is using the Ilamasca Hollow cream pigment, and it is a kind of a grey beige color, I would say, and I love it. It's not great for medium to deep skin tones, but for lighter skin tones this is absolutely amazing. I would say up to, I don't know, like a MAC NC 30, 40. 40 would probably just about get away with it, but nothing darker than that. And I'm going to be using it with my Sonia Kashuk brush. This is a contour brush. If you don't have this, I know this is a really difficult brush to get a hold of. You could use the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. It's kind of narrow on the side, or you can just use a you know, a standard foundation brush and just blend it in. But this technique is so easy. It almost doesn't warrant talking very much. So all I do is I just get some of the product on the brush, find my jawbone here. So this product I tend to use most cheekbone. I just tend to mostly use for my cheeks, and all I do is I kind of like go to the hollowest part and I blush it up. I kind of like just pull it up. Now I feel that, you know, I actually need something on top of this because there's too much of a grey shadow for photos. This is great for photo shoots. For real life, not necessarily so much. So I'm going to show you what I do next. Is I tend to use, I like, with this product, it's a cream product, so I like to use a cream blush as well. This is the Bobbi Brown Pale Pink 11, and I use it with my MAC 187 brush. And I just get some of the colour on, not too much, this is super pigmented. And I just stipple it on, really, really lightly. This blush is amazing on pretty much every skin tone because you can really control how much you use. So it's amazing on deeper, darker skin tones as well. And because I kind of like to layer products, I am going to finish up with a powder blush. This is Velvet Rope by Lorac, and I'm just using my Bobbi Brown blush brush for it. But I kind of like the depth layering a couple of products adds. But yeah, on its own, I'm not so sure I would just use it because it will show. It has that grey tint to it. So personally, for me, I like to use it under blushes or under bronzer, but it does really contour very, very nicely. So my last way of contouring is with a powder product. I'm using MAC's Block Powder because this is matte, and so what I do is I just buy it in a very deep shade. I'll show you mine. The shade I'm going to be using is Deep Dark. So this is obviously way too dark for me as a powder, but amazing as a contour product. And I'm going to be using two different brushes. I will use the MAC 138, and it's beautiful. One of my favorite brushes ever, and it has a very kind of pointed tip, so I can really get into those contours of my cheeks. Oh, I can feel one of my top eyelashes kind of getting caught in the lower ones. Never mind that. And then I'm going to use a smaller brush, the Inglot 6SS, just to add a couple of like smaller tiny details. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the product on the very kind of tip of the brush, like that. Always check how much you have with a powder product on the back of your hand. And then I'm going to go, I already have cream blush on, I'm going to go under my cheekbone, and then I'm very, very lightly just going back and forth. I can see already, I don't have enough product on the brush because not enough is transferring over. Better always to start light with a contour product. So I am just doing this. What I like to do with a powder is I always tend to get your earrings out of the way. With a powder, I always go under my jaw. With a cream, I don't necessarily. So I do the jawline, under my cheekbones. And then I have a wide forehead, so I tend to kind of just do the perimeter here. I have a low and wide forehead and I hated that for so long. Still do. And when you're doing your jawline, really go all the way to the ear. It would have been good not to put on earrings just yet, so that you kind of really etch out the product. But when you're using a powder contour product, make sure that you've powdered before, because if you have tons of like creamy blusher, so I used the NYX Glow, but I powdered on top of it because otherwise the bronzer is going to get stuck on the bits with like cream blusher or oilier bits of skin, and that's just really not going to work at all. And then I'm going to switch to the Inglot 6 SS. So this is a much smaller brush, and I'm going to do a little bit around my nose and just here. So get some of the product on your brush. Again, check on the back of your hand. And then I'm going to go all the way from my eyebrow down to the tip of my nose. If your nose is too long for you, also do that. My nose, I don't have that problem, but I do like it a little bit more now. And this is a good trick. Actually, Marilyn Monroe, I think, was the one that used this. Is just under the bottom lip, create a shadow. So when this area is recessed, it just brings your bottom lip out more to make your lips look bigger. And that's as easy as powder contouring is going to be. Obviously, people with different faces are going to do it in different ways, and because I only have my face right now to work with, I can't show you every single possible way of doing it, but I just wanted to show you the 3 different products. Obviously the first one was the most in-depth one. The 2 consecutive ones were just ones that I filmed in the morning while I was getting ready. So I just wanted to show you a couple of different products as well. But thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to ask questions, because I realize that contouring, you know, there's no way that I can show you every single way of contouring on just one face. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to, you know, get lots of people here to show lots of different face types. So please feel free to ask questions. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.